Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to all of you at this DevOps Summit 2021. Thanks a lot for joining in today and for listening to my talk. And before we dive on to our topic and the agenda, a few words about myself. So, my name is Meenal Meenakshi. I work as product landscape owner at SAP Labs in India. I have close to 2 decades of experience at SAP, mostly in the domain of service management and service delivery. And so the topic of DevOps or the way the IT organizations demonstrate agility in continuously evolving, adapting, and adopting to the new and ever changing market dynamics is of extreme interest and importance to me. And so I really like to talk about and to know about the digital transformation journey, the DevOps adoption, the benefits, the challenges in the journey across industries. So today I would like to take this opportunity to take you through the evolutionary journey of IT service management in itself, more catering towards the software as a service delivery. What is the vision, value, and the guiding principle which DevOps offer, and what it takes to implement DevOps for large enterprises and large organizations. What are the challenges such enterprises face, and how we can overcome them by adapting culture, process, and technology within our organization. And finally, we will look at how the transformation journey from DevOps to enterprise DevOps looks like. Now, traditionally, IT was seen more as a service and support organization delivering technology solutions to business. But in the current era of digital transformation, IT is not only delivering technology solutions to business, it is the business. IT and business is fast converging. The digital services are all customer oriented and value driven, and they need to be managed in a way that they not only deliver value to your customers, but they also help businesses grow. Because your product has value in the market, has value for customers only when it can offer the expected service and deliver the expected outcome which your customers want. Now, if we take, for example, SAP as an organization, traditionally we used to only develop, test, and deliver the software, the solution to our customers. We never had the need to really run an SAP platform for enterprises. We never had the need to bear the cost of an SAP implementation for large enterprises. But with software as a service, we now not only develop, test, and deliver, but we also run the entire platform. We run the SAP platform for each and every customer, for each and every enterprise. And the cost of running such a platform is really huge. So it is extremely important that we manage these IT services in a way that it is aligned to our IT organization's goals and objectives and is fundamentally adding value to customers. So we have shifted now more from delivering software to delivering services to our customers, which adds value to our customers. So what is this business value? And how do we know whether or not we are delivering that business value to customer? Business value is that differentiated experience which our customer gets when they consume our product and services. And as an organization, it is extremely important for us to constantly and continuously keep a check on whether or not the service that we delivered adds value to the customer. Value could be in terms of cost value, whether we are delivering services or product at a much competitive rate than our competitors, Or it could be in terms of experience value, where we are giving such a wonderful experience to our customers that they may not want to switch the service providers easily. Or it could be in terms of platform value, where we are providing such a vast, robust platform for our customers who have all the flexibility to really pick and choose the exact services fitting to their customers, fitting to their business requirement and the need, without really having to pay for the extra services coming in, which possibly might not be used. So how do we know this? And how can we predict what would be the future need for the customer? This requires data. This requires analysis. And more than often, organizations lack that access to data-led insights, which can help organizations take informed decisions. Data is the new oil in the current era. And it is extremely important that we can consume data and transform data into business intelligence so that it can be converted into insights which can be used to take the right decision. So when you have that right data, when you have that analysis, when you have that insight, then it is important to decide on your right response strategy. Take informed decision, fact-based, evidence-based decision. Be hyper-aware of the changes around you within your organization and outside your organization that can have an impact on the decision that you have taken. And finally, when you know what you want to deliver, when you know what is the right thing to do, it is equally important to do the right thing in the right way. And this is where the implementation of a solid IT service management strategy becomes paramount important. Because it is not only important to know what you need to deliver, it is equally important, rather more important, to deliver it fast and to ensure that the changes, the service is reaching the customer well in time when they are expecting it. Because if you will not do it, your customers or competitors will do it. So be it any service management methodology, be it DevOps, Lean, Agile, which are anyhow the foundation for DevOps, data, design thinking, customer experience, feedback loops, all these are arranged around the concept of delivering value to the customer. And this brings me then to the next topic of DevOps. Now, I will not get into the details of DevOps, but just to have a small background so that we can continue with our next topics and agenda for today. We will just take a brief overview of what DevOps is and what are the guiding principles that it offers. Now, DevOps is an umbrella concept that advocates the collaboration of each and every team and unit that contributes towards the value chain and that helps in delivering software and service faster and with better quality. And DevOps suggests 3 ways how this can be achieved. The first way is to think IT as a system of systems where work flows from left to right as fast as possible, from development through its different life cycle, through operations to finally reach the customer where value is created. Now, value is seen only for a finished product. Work that is in process adds no value. So it is important to keep your work package small and it flows through your development pipeline faster, because this then helps in increasing the flow and in delivering value faster to the customer, and also in receiving feedback faster, which can help you improve your service in your next iteration. The second way talks about amplifying the feedback loop, where feedback should flow as fast as possible from right to left, from not only the customers, but from each and every node through which your development passes through the pipeline. So it is not only about increasing the number of feedback loops, but also the frequency at which you are receiving and sending feedbacks. And the third way talks about inculcating a culture of continuous experimentation and learning. Fail often and fail fast is the mantra. It is important that you have that risk-taking ability to be able to take failure as a learning opportunity, especially in this model where you have smaller pieces of work and development flowing through the pipeline and extensive feedback being received from each and every node. You know that what is at risk is really small. So DevOps is basically a culture where people from across disciplines work together to develop, deploy, and operate a system. And DevOps offers certain guiding principles when you want to embark onto this journey. So the first principle talks about culture. Culture is one of the most important topic when we talk about DevOps. Because DevOps is not only about tools and technologies, it is as much and more about culture, people, and behavior. Collaboration is key. You really need to ensure that all teams are coming together to work as one system. All teams are taking over end-to-end responsibility and accountability to ensure, identify, and prevent an error from reaching production. Automation is key. Each and every team should take over the accountability to automate as much as possible and wherever possible by treating everything as a code. Lean is one of the foundations for DevOps. The lean principles brings in those concepts of system thinking and elimination of waste to help you keep your entire process and system leaner and simple. Measurement. DevOps suggests to really use scientific ways and proven ways to measure the success and failure of your DevOps implementation. And last not least, sharing. It is all about sharing knowledge, sharing your experience, sharing your best practices, sharing your failure and success stories in order to scale with DevOps. Now, having said this, let us reflect here a little bit. Now, we now know how to implement DevOps, what are the vision, value, and the guiding principles which DevOps offer. But hey, when it comes to implementing DevOps for large enterprises, for large organizations, it is a different game altogether. As we talk about large enterprises here, which are often characterized with hybrid technology, hybrid platforms, which has hybrid integration requirements, mostly runs on hybrid platforms, mostly runs on legacy architecture, has complex architecture, monolithic systems, heritage software, which cannot be easily replaced as critical business functions still rely on them, and majority of revenue still flows through these legacy apps. There is often missing end-to-end visibility and overview with different teams working on diverse portfolios using different tools and technologies. So for organizations that were not really born in the cloud, getting out of the DevOps starting gate and scaling adoption is a challenge. Scaling DevOps from an individual team to enterprise level increases the complexity and difficulty multifold. Now, over the last more than a decade, of DevOps um, implementation and adoption, we have seen DevOps move through all the stages of technology hype cycle. Even though DevOps is everywhere, it's rarely done well at scale, especially at large enterprises. According to the 2021 report of DevOps State of DevOps report by Puppet, nearly 78% of organizations are somewhere stuck in the middle of DevOps adoption. Most of the organizations embarked onto their digital transformation journey, but failed to create meaningful positive impact as they faced more different and advanced hurdles. Challenges which large organizations face can mostly be clubbed together as a combination of culture, process, and technology, the extent of which depends definitely on the current level of DevOps adoption and the current maturity of the same within your organization. So let us take a little closer look on these three buckets of challenges to understand the struggle which larger enterprises face when scaling DevOps. Now, if we look at the cultural blockers, enterprises are held back from evolving mostly due to existing organizational structure and dynamics, and more than often, lack of clear understanding of roles and responsibilities. Organizations struggle bringing in that mindset shift to move from a more power and hierarchy and command and control kind of a setup to a more collaborative environment with self-organization and a visionary role model. One of the key principles of DevOps is to implement an environment of continuous experimentation and learning. But experience shows and data suggests that surprisingly, most of the organizations and most of the organizational culture often focuses on avoiding risks. So organizations fail to scale as they fail to establish also the culture of sharing of best practices, of sharing of knowledge, of sharing of failure and success stories. Now talking about the process bucket. Organizations often fail to address or understand the process change needed to adopt or address to the new way of working with new technology. There is often resistance to change. Getting a buy-in from all involved and in keeping organizations in sync. There is lack of a strong feedback mechanism in place to enable teams to receive and provide proactive feedback across all phases of development lifecycle, thus preventing continuous improvement. Lack of end-to-end visibility across all functions also leads to lack of investment in terms of time, effort, and money that is required in optimizing and adopting and scaling the overall development and delivery process within the organization. Technology challenges, I would say, are the ones which enterprise, irrespective of their adoption strategy and irrespective of their current maturity level, would continue to face as this is the most fastest changing environment. So enterprises need to create technology stack that leverages significant automation, but they are faced with fundamental challenges that comes with legacy systems, complex architectures, and monolithic architectures. DevOps require more and more automation and usage of new and advanced tools and technologies because the existing technologies which the organizations are using, the existing tools which the organizations and enterprises have been using for years were not really designed to meet the new development paradigms. So organizations often lack the possibility to automate because they are not using those latest tools and technologies, and they also lack the needed skills to run those tools and technologies and to understand the entire process. DevOps really requires people with well-rounded cross-functional skills who can fit well and understand the new DevOps process and culture, and who are well versed with the new tools and technologies. So how do I scale? How do I get that big fat DevOps elephant cross the hurdle of culture, process, and technology of larger enterprises to a more evolved state of DevOps? So let us look at some key adaptations and changes which enterprises can adopt, which will help them to scale their DevOps adoption within their organizations. Now, as we talked about the challenges in the buckets of culture, process, and technology, let us look at how we can really improve the culture, process, and technology challenges to overcome the current hurdles. Cultural challenge or cultural transformation is one of the hardest and the first challenge which enterprise, big or small, always face, and should also be the first to be handled. Because it's firstly important to get that right mindset. Only then you can take your next steps. When you have your people within your organization with you in the journey, then the journey continues. So let us look at what are those changes that can be implemented. Adapt the organizational dynamics in order to move towards a higher performance model. DevOps success requires support from every level of the organization. Organizations should do both the top-down and the bottom-up work to build momentum behind the DevOps practices. DevOps is all about people, and it is equally important and very important that we have the right buy-in. We have the leadership buy-in, because organizations would yield the best result when leadership makes DevOps a meaningful priority. And when the entire organization understands the importance of people, because it is about people and their behavior. Technology is only an enabler to solve problems, but it's the people who truly solve problems. So invest in people, invest in their trainings, invest in upskilling, learnings, and cross-functional skills which they would need in order to fit into the DevOps process. Increase your risk-taking appetite as it empowers people to take controlled risks, increases autonomy in decision-making, and brings in the most important trust factor where people feel psychologically safe. Collaboration is extremely important. It is key to DevOps success. But at the same time, it is costly. So while it is important to promote a culture of collaboration, it is equally important to really understand why there is a need for collaboration and how those dependencies, if any, can be addressed. Is it that team A depends on team B? Or is it that team A develops something which team B is consuming? Or is it that team A has the knowledge which team B does not? So, what happens in all of these cases? Of course, collaboration can help, but when you do not have your right contacts in place available, then it delays the process. So, it is important to systematize and formalize interactions between teams. When teams have well defined interaction and communication channels, they better understand the value behind the project, and this increases the overall motivation, efficiency, and productivity within the teams. So, now let us look at what could be changed from the process lens. Large legacy environments that have evolved in most of the big organizations are often maintained by many different teams, each owning a piece of the technology stack. With software as a service, you are responsible and accountable for managing and running the entire technology stack for your customer. So enterprises need to create common and meaningful process across the entire development lifecycle, keeping the complete stack in mind. So it's extremely important to follow the life cycle approach for delivering changes. Organize your IT systems and platforms in a product portfolio format, making use of the robust practices like lifecycle management. And this product mindset, the product thinking, should be one of the first steps towards enterprise level DevOps. This requires also bringing in that systems thinking, keeping in the holistic picture, the big picture in mind. When making changes, always look at the big picture, think about the big picture, and make global rather than local improvements. And apply design thinking concepts wherever possible to come up with new ideas and innovation. Shift left is a standard practice recommended for DevOps, intended to find and prevent critical functions or checks of critical functions and processes earlier in the life cycle. But it is equally important and extremely important to not only shift these critical checks and tests early in the life cycle, to shift them left, but to integrate these key functions like quality, like test, like security, or documentation in each and every phase of the software delivery process. It requires cross-team collaboration and empowers every team to autonomously prevent, discover, and remediate potential issues. Improve your change management process, as it improves the organization's ability to effectively manage and release software with high quality and velocity. Automating the change management process, shifting approvals to the teams that do the work, and enabling people to have a role in the process will make change management much more effective and improve the software delivery performance with more frequent delivery and fewer failures. And it makes people more confident that their change management system is effective. Leverage the concepts of a minimum viable product. When you have infinite opportunities, such as in the DevOps environment, in the cloud space, it often becomes overwhelming to adapt your process. So for process minimization, organization should consider minimum viable everything, where every change is viewed as a product release, be it organizational transformation or infrastructural shift, new service, or a feature release, or just a small change. So focus on minimum capability so as to not over-invest in capabilities that later turns out to not be used or needed, and focus on viability such that the original use case and opportunity can actually be met and can be improved. So adapting and simplifying processes helps organization overcome the process challenges across distributed teams in the large organizations. Now, having looked at the culture and the process part of it, let us have a look at the improvements needed from the technology aspect for scaling to enterprise level DevOps. DevOps provides the best in breed tools across the software delivery lifecycle. There are tools for source code management, database management, continuous integration, continuous delivery, deployment, testing, orchestration, cloud, AI, security, collaboration, and many more. So it ensures the different tools of DevOps really ensures transparency, automation, and collaboration stay ahead in the forefront of your value stream. However, there is no one size fits all, right? So we really cannot have defined tools that will fit to every defined requirements and specific requirements across organization. So it is very important that you choose the right tools to maximize the benefits of DevOps, speeding up the value generation process. Automation-enabled DevOps has been a fundamental pillar of the movement. So while automating repetitive tasks, system configuration, and provisioning tasks are and more, not only for technical benefits of scale, reliability, quality, and velocity, but it also creates a lot of social impact, a lot of cultural and behavioral impact within the organization. And while legacy architecture is cited as a top blocker across every level of DevOps evolution, legacy application can still take advantage of modern practices. Containerize your monolithic applications as a first step to your cloud transformation journey for your monolithic applications. It not only allows applications to run on modern stack, and it also allows you to then gain benefits of the cloud offering and also can be delivered in the form of continuous integration and continuous delivery. Establish an internal platform model for enabling application development, which can be applicable for legacy and modern architecture as well. Such a platform offers a wide range of self-service capabilities for continuous integration, deployment, workflows, for internal infrastructure, for on-prem environments, for public cloud infrastructure, for monitoring, alerting, provisioning, and many more such services. For large enterprises with multiple products, each with its own technology stack, tool chain, and process, a platform model of its kind with defined and clear purpose, boundaries, and responsibilities really scales well. And finally, focus on operations and your operations team. With infrastructure as a service and software as a service models, operations, operability, resilience, and reliability are becoming more and more important. Operations team is needed not only for building your infrastructure and software as a service, but also to help application teams ship software more effectively and efficiently. And as technology continues to evolve, so is the need to adapt the consumption of tools and technologies in the most effectively. So these were some of the say improvements, the adaptations, the adoptions which enterprises or larger organizations can look at when trying to scale DevOps to really um, have it across your organization. So scaling your organization to enterprise DevOps is a continuous and continued journey, which cannot be achieved instantly. However, for a successful DevOps implementation, it is important to really have the right implementation strategy in place, which is in alignment with your organization's strategic goals and objectives, and which is fundamentally adding value to your business. So start first with preparing a DevOps roadmap. As we see, scaling DevOps is a journey. Having a DevOps adoption within an enterprise level adoption is a journey. So it makes sense that you have the right roadmap. And then we see how we can maneuver it through to reach the level of standardization that is required. So think big when preparing the roadmap. It is very important to have the bigger picture in mind, because if we think only of, say, one DevOps team, then we do not look or think about topics like governance or controlled autonomy, accountability, authority, topics like interaction, and so on. Because these topics gain more relevance when we scale. But if not planned right from the very beginning, will leave you stuck in the middle of DevOps adoption. So think big, at the same time, start small. Look at that part of your IT organization which you think can create the biggest impact and start your pilot from there. And when you have nailed it with a successful DevOps implementation, retrospect the journey and expand the key learnings. What went well, what could be improved, and further adapt the culture, the process, and drive the needed tools and technology changes based on the findings from your pilot implementation. Also, extend the learning, best practices, failure stories, success stories to other parts of the organization as a preparation to your scaling plans. And when you have done this, when you have extended your learning and your best practices across your organization, when your organization has seen the success and has understood the success of your pilot phase, then you are ready to scale. Invest now in people's training, coaching, and adoption of DevOps practices and principles. Implement and scale DevOps even outside the cloud environment in your legacy environment. Formalize a well-defined collaboration and interaction model across your organization. Standardize and centralize tools and technology strategy, which is across and acceptable across your organization. Have a standardized product lifecycle process being followed across your organization. So with this, when we are able to achieve a certain level of standardization across our organization, we are then really in a position to scale DevOps. However, the journey does not stop here. Continue to innovate, to always remain relevant as per the changing needs. Sustain and expand the benefits achieved and continue to optimize further. DevOps transformation should continue to be a push for teams and organizations to scale further and beyond to leverage the benefits which the transformation provides. And the transformation guidance and principles can be applied to any architecture. So just push it across every levels of your organization and across every architecture. And it should not really become a pull, because when it becomes a pull, it would then lead to saturation. And the way the entire technology is evolving in this current era of industrial revolution, reaching a level of saturation may not really be a good indicator, because you have to continuously evolve, improve, and innovate your DevOps implementation within your organization. So this is all that I had to say and share with all of you today. And with that, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your time and for listening through my session. Thanks a lot, DevOps Summit, for this wonderful opportunity to share my experiences and insights. Have a nice day.